So welcome to the How We Got Here Genealogy Happy Hour. Again, I'm Brian Nash, the host of How We Got Here, and I'm your resident genealogist. So today was billed as ask your questions about your Scottish genealogy. Actually, if you have any family history questions, I want to thank StreamYard. This is the app I'm using for doing this broadcast. Great app. And let's get rolling. So while I'm waiting for questions to come in, feel free to jump in at any time, questions, and I will be give me 1 second here. Perfect. Like I said, I'm here. I've reset my office. I'm still working on lighting. Let me know if there's any sound issues. I'd appreciate that if you're in the chat. Now, you're all set up right here. There we go. So that's So everybody, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, today we're going to be talking about researching your Scottish genealogy. It's the main subject. If you have questions, honestly, any questions about your genealogy, I'm going to be doing a little work here, and I'll be sharing it with you in a minute. It's just some things that I'm going to be coming up and working on throughout this year in a series of videos. So let's just see what we got here. Okay. Oh, I'm getting messages coming in there, so let's see what we got here. So how many people we got here watching so far? Let's see a few of you on here. Just give a shout of where you're from. And I'm just trying to configure a few things. I apologize here. You're going to see me go off air for a quick minute here, and I'm going to come right back. Perfect. Okay. So there's a lot of you watching today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going over some of the general things in my own family tree. I'm using WikiTree as always. It's a great family tree tool. If you don't have it, you're not part of WikiTree, you really should consider becoming part of WikiTree. And again, if there's any audio issues, I'd love if you guys let me know, because I know I have had that in the past. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing this year is I'm going to show you here, and I have it all nicely printed off. This here is what's called a fan chart. I don't know if you can see it again because of the lighting. And I'm going to show you a better way of doing it on WikiTree. And I'm hearing my own audio from someone, so I'm not sure what's going on. Give me 1 second here. Let me just see if I can find that tab that's open. It's playing my audio. This is the problem when you have multiple tabs and doing multiple things at once. I'm going to shut down that. Yeah. Hearing in my head, I know where it's coming from. It was coming through my hearing aids. Isn't that great? It's great to be old, people. Okay. So there's 97 of you watching because I'm probably boring you to death. But let's get to it, and I'm going to show you what you can do with fan trees. I'm going to use my own tree here on WikiTree, and just 1 second while I get to sharing that. And there I go down in the corner. So this is my own profile on WikiTree. And when you're in a profile on WikiTree, you can do a lot of things. What I'm going to be doing today is under tree apps. I'm going to show you a couple things. This is a fan tree, fan chart. So this here is what it is it works all your generations out. So you'll see your parents, their parents, etc. And you'll see it forms kind of a fan. So what I'm actually hoping to do is go to 7 generations out. If I reduce this, you'll see that there's a lot of blanks in there. These are so these here at 7 generations out would be my grandparents, 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 which would be my there's my first set of great grandparents, second, third, they're my 4th great grandparents. Now you'll see I have a fair amount of them, but I'm still missing quite a few of them, and even some of these I don't have a lot of data on. So my goal is to get this out, and I'm hoping to get it out actually to my just 1 second here, 2 more generations. So if I go to nine generations, that would be my seventh sets of grandparents. And you see a few there, very, very few. My goal is to eventually get that, and then I will be happy in my actual where I'm planning on being in my genealogy. And I think it's an avid goal. Now, one of the things I'm going to show you here, this is another tool. This, like I said, is the fan chart. This is just my generational statistics. And so I'm going to, again, do that to 9 generations. And again, my generational statistics, these were my sixth great grandparents at my 9 generations. I have 256 of them. I currently have 17, so I have a lot of work. But this gives me sort of an idea to this chart where things break down. So it's about this generation 7 where you'll see I really start falling behind. And generation 6, up to generation 5, I'm caught up. I have everybody that should be in there. It's generation 6 where I'm going to be starting with and working on. And I'm going to do this by following down specific lines. While I'm doing this, I'm actually wanting to fill out the even on the people that I do have. I want to be able to fill out the information if there's anything missing. Also to research their story and get that information a little better. The other great thing about this here, I really like, it gives you some basic statistics at the bottom. So the average generation length is 30. The average lifespan is 72. So of the people that I have in my family tree, going back 9 generations, and again, this is just would be the direct descendants. It wouldn't be their children. That would be my uncles and aunts and their children, which would be cousins, to different degrees. This is just the direct line. Their average age is 72. My oldest ancestor was James Machan. He was 100 years old. And he's my oldest male ancestor. And my oldest female ancestor is Florence Charlotte McKinnon, which was my grandmother. She died just about 6 months short of her 100th birthday. So she was 99 years old. So it's a fairly good average lifespan. You'll see that also gives the average age of marriage. So myself, I was married at 27, so that's going to be my average age. Then you get my parents, and etc. as you go down. It's interesting to see that it's fairly consistent, around the mid 20s. There's a couple spots where they were younger, and I actually would expect as I get more out here that I'm going to see these numbers go down on the bottom ones. It won't change on the first 5 generations because I have those up to date as long as the information is there. So on the earliest one of my 6 great grandparents, the earliest birth is 1712, and the latest birth was 1744. So just kind of a neat little information on there. It tells you each generation's their average lifespan. My grandparents' average lifespan is 88. Now my parents, my mom is still alive. My dad passed away just before he was 74. So that's what the average lifespan is, but it's not complete yet. All my grandparents have passed away, and their average lifespan was 88. The oldest year of birth of my grandparents was 1916. On the average, the year of birth would be 1919. So, with the latest being 1923. It's kind of a little bit of different information. It's kind of neat to see and have it all written out there. Let me see here. So yeah, if you have a question about your Scottish ancestors, anything genealogical related, make sure you um, let me know in the chat, and I'll try to answer it. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on this, and we're going to actually start with my my mother's mother, who's the oldest female that I have, and I'm going to work down her path as I try to fill that out. Now, if I go and I will go to her there, so I'm just going to go back to me, and I'm just going to go to if I look here and I want to look at my family tree, oops. If I want to go to her, there's a couple different ways I can do it. I'm just going to go to my mom, and then to my mom's mom, oops, and then I'm going to go to I'm going to go to my mom, and then it just keeps, I'm not sure what's going on there with my scroll wheel. It's thinking to go back, and just 1 second here. Will I get this right? And then okay, let's do this again. So I have my grandmother here, and again, we're going to look at her family tree in particular, and the fan chart related to her. So I can do the same thing with her. I can go to Tree Apps. I'm gonna switch it to fan chart, and so this is her WikiTree ID number. And if I'm going to go 5 generations out from her, which would be 7 generations for me, this is what I have. And my goal is eventually to, like I said, get 7 generations out from her. Now, let's just look at actually the statistics on her. I could do the same thing as well. I could go to up here to use the generational statistics, and so I can get specific things for her. So her parents, their average, you see, I have both of them there again. So I have their earliest birth year was 1878, latest was 1893. And their average lifespan was 84. And they, 3 children, that's all they had. So her grandparents, the earliest one was born 1824, so almost 100 years before her, 98 years before her. And the most recent was 1870, which doesn't seem right. So I'm saying there's probably something wrong there, since her I guess 23 years. And their average birth year was 1852. So there's quite a wide span in this for her grandparents. And we have their average lifespan. Her parents was 84, her grandparents were 79, and 71 for her great grandparents. So that's it goes back and is her 2 times great grandparents. Since I have 4 out of 4, I don't actually have an average lifespan because I don't have all the complete statistics for them. So I don't really have a year of death for all of them. So let's go back to her though, and we're just going to work on her tree. So we're going to go back, and then we have her here. And I'm going to look on her fan chart, sorry. If I go back to there, and I go to her fan chart. Make this a little smaller. So where I'm having the weakness is on her father's mother's, her father's father's side. Now, I know personally a lot of this is because of the names. So his is John Lachlan McKinnon, which was also his son's name. Also his grandson's name. Her brother also has the same name. And there's a few John L. McKinnons in the area that I can find records for. It's to find the specific ones. So it looked like we dropped a little there in viewers, but that's okay. I'm still waiting for your questions. Do jump in and ask them. But with these fan charts, it gives you sort of areas right where you can start to find out missing information, and also where you need to get more. So one thing here, when marriage, if there is a marriage record and date known, you'll notice that it has it in here. If I zoom in, you'll be able to see. Gives her marriage. You'll notice her parents. I do not actually have her parents' marriage. So her parents are Catherine McKinnon and John McKinnon. Catherine McGinnis and John McKinnon. I don't have their marriage record. Now, since I knew they were born in Nova Scotia. Let's just go and actually see what kind of records I do have on them. One of the quickest way is I can just click on him through the fan chart, and it will actually bring me right up to his page. So I know his birth date, and I know his death date. Now let's see where my sources are. So the sources for his birth actually are, I have a small handwritten book by him that states his birth date in it. And in that book is all kinds of other things. It's sort of I want to say a semi-diary and semi-diary, I'm just sorry, I'm putting something up so I can see if I can show you images of those little books I have. Semi-diary, just everyday facts on some of the things he has. Things as simple as how much coal he had to take in that night, or there we go. There's all his notebooks. So let me just share these with you. I'm going to share them on here. Let's see if I can switch this over. So I'm going to sort of show you, these are a series of images. So I'm just going to have to switch what you're seeing here. So give me 1 second while I bring those up. Let me see. I can bring up my whole screen there. Okay. So I'm just going to bring these up. These are, like I said, I have several of these kind of little notebooks he wrote things in. So if I go from there, I think this is the one that has his the first little bit of information. There we go, page 1. So he has his information here, and this is about himself. He has his birthday is September 7th, 1878. So this is where I got this information, and he was born in Malagawach in Inverness County. And that is consistent with what I know about the family and where they are from. So that's where I get that information. Now with the actual his death is from the Nova Scotia archives. I'm going to bring it up as a different window. The Nova Scotia website archives, if you have relatives in Nova Scotia, I really have to say it's a great site for searching and finding the information you have there. So this is his registration of death, and gives his birth date there says 1879, but in his own writing he said 1878. So I'm going to trust him because this is based on the person that was the informant, who was actually my grandfather, his son-in-law. So if he might have known how old he was, depending on when he died, calculating and if he didn't know the actual birth date, he would possibly be off by a year. Same thing, it's very common in these type of things and in censuses as well. It does give me some great information here. His father is John L. McKinnon, and his mother was Charlotte Campbell. They're both listed as being born in Cape Breton. I know specifically they were born in Inverness County because that's where they were. It tells me what type of industry. He was a retired salesman in household furnishings. A lot of his, in these little notebooks, he talks a lot about going up the country and bringing in hay. And from my understanding from research and talking to people in the area which knew of his family, which surprisingly they would be knowing it from word of mouth, would know that they were farmers, and that was the general occupation of most people up in that area, if they weren't educated. So gives me a lot of interesting things. Now this I really find interesting because there was a debate on the Scottish Genealogy Facebook page the other day. Some people get offended when you could say the ethnicity is Scotch because Scotch is a drink. It's the people are called Scots or Scottish. But I do find that it is recorded, especially in Cape Breton, is Scotch. And I noticed throughout like going through old censuses in the from 1911 and before, and even after, because if the 31 and the 21 census, that there is that they would refer to themselves as Scotch. So and tells me that he was married. Interesting thing is, as I understand it, he and his wife, Catherine, they were kind of separated for the last few years of their life. I don't know exactly what happened, but they, yeah. And his residence is 1 Amelia Street, which is actually the residence of my grandparents at the time. So this was stating that he was living with them. Gives where he died, etc. So, like I said, the Nova Scotia website's really, really good. So let's look up, and I have not been able to successful. I haven't actually been successful in finding a birth record, but let's check a couple places. Like I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start working first on his mother's side. So let's go back and, my grandmother's mother's side. My mother's mother's side. So my grandmother's family, specifically, let's go back one generation from her and look at her grandfather right now, at her father, and see what information we can find. So I know he was born in Nova Scotia, so my first thing is always to go to Nova Scotia website and see if I can find him. I know his name is John, and it's McKinnon. Now, this is where there is some disputes in different records at different time. I've seen the family name with a C, so MC Kinnon, and then I've also seen McKinnon. McKinnon seems to be what was used by my grandmother in her marriage registration, so that's what I'm going to go with, but I will search both. His birth date, I'm looking around 1878, 1879. Let's see what we find in any John McKinnons around then. So let's go to births. Okay. So we're going to look for him and we're going to see what we can find. So I'm up to 1870 and I'm not finding him in the area. They're from Inverness County. This is not him. Again, it says he was born in Malagawach. And it's a little too early there. So we'll still scroll down. We're looking. So 1877. Yeah, so I'm finding a big gap there. So I'm not finding him. And that's actually pretty common. But the great thing with WikiTree, what you can do is you can actually use WikiTree and it will suggest some research options for you, which basically just means it's going to look for other sites that might have information on them. And just 1 second here. And so you can click the, we're going to do, it's going to let me search for family search records. So, and other genealogy websites. So let's just click here and go open that in a new tab. So we're doing the root search, log in with WikiTree. Now I need his profile ID that I'm looking. His profile ID is this number up here is McKinnon 1359. Best way to do is to copy it. You can just copy user ID. And I put that in there. And then I can load and see what we can find. So let's go to, I know it's not probably going to find anything and find my past. Let's go to family search. It's wanting me to log in, so I'm going to sign in here. I haven't been signed into this on this computer for a few days and see what it can find. So it has John P. McKinnon. John McKinnon. Now, that says his spouse is Catherine McGinnis, which is the correct name of the spouse, and James J. McKinnon as his son. He doesn't have a James J. McKinnon. He does have another John, and he died after 1957. I looked at his his death record, and you'll see that his is 1950 and 1960. Sorry. So let's see what we can find here, though. There we go. John Lachlan McKinnon in the 1931 census. So let's take a look. Again, this won't tell me his actual birth date, but let's see what we can find. So John L. McKinnon in Glace Bay, he's listed as a boarder. His age is 52. He's born in Canada. Again, see, this is what I'm talking about. See where it says Scotch, not Scot, Presbyterian. And this says he's a timekeeper in a coal mine. Well, he did not work in a coal mine, so no, this is not the right John McKinnon. And as well, I would expect to see him living with his wife, and I would expect, and there he is right up above. So John, you notice they have the same name, the border, same age. Interestingly enough, so yeah, if I go to that up there, it's their age at the time. So he's renting. And it says if owned, what the value is of the house, and then if it's rented, what the rent is. So I can find out lots of great things here. So he lived at 16 Catherine Street, and he was paying $50 a month for rent. Pretty good price, considering the price of renting now. And this here is giving me what it's asking in these columns here is the place of birth. So it's the person and then their father and their mother. So as I can see here, he was born in Nova Scotia. Both his parents were in Nova Scotia because he was there for a few generations. Canada, Scotch. Can he? Now this here is yes, and these two yes and no questions are: can he speak English? Can he speak French? Language other than English or French spoken on his mother tongue. Now, again, let's go up here. And it just has English. Now it's saying here, he goes to United Church. He's a salesman. Now the rest of the family goes to Presbyterian Church. And he sold sewing machines. And this here is 650, which was total earnings in the past 12 months. So he made $650 a year. He was paying $50 a month for rent. So that would be $600 out of his $650 he made. He's paying in rent, which is quite high. And the next one, yes, again, this isn't giving me the information that I want, but the 1931 census is pretty new, so it's kind of interesting. If an employee were to work on Monday, June 1st, so he was working, no, it wants to know why, and then just all kinds of other things there about his working. So that does not give me his bank manager made $3,200. That's not a lot. Dental surgeon, and he's not telling you what he made. The dental surgeon. So $650 a year. Again, it doesn't seem a lot, especially when it looks like he was paying $600 out in rent. So he has a boarder. He has 3 boarders, and 2 lodgers. So he's making some money off rent. So let's just see. They were all paying between $30 and $50 a month for rent. So, so they're paying. Sorry, that's their age. I missed that. Just one second. So it doesn't say what they're paying as the rent here, which is interesting. So even if they're paying, there's 6 boarders. If they're paying $10 a month for rent each, that's $60 a month. He's paying his rent with them. So that's where he's making his money. It is interesting that he has that large of a rental place. For $50, that's got to be quite good. So it does give me some information here. Again, this does confirm that it's him. I have, he's got his wife, Catherine, Charlotte, who's my grandmother, her sister, Kathleen. This is interesting because I don't have her birth record, and I never knew. I've seen it as Kathleen in her name listed places, but I wasn't sure if it was actually should be Catherine, because her mother is Catherine. I didn't know it was spelled with a K, and we had called her K. And I see his son John, who is still alive, and my uncle Johnny, grand uncle Johnny, and so they're all there. So they're 8, 7, and 4 at the time. So that's at the time it says he was 52. So in 31, if I take away that, this seems like he should be born about 1881, based on the years here. Again, I am not sure when they get these censuses. People, since it's giving this amount, I'm assuming it actually spoke with him. His wife, my great-grandmother's 37, so that would mean she was born in 1893. Yeah, so it's, that's not too bad. Now let's see if I can find them in the 1921 census. Okay. I think I've kind of bored people to death enough. Didn't have any questions from the audience, but really appreciate it there. And I'm going to sign out for now, and you have a great day.
Things change, farewell, my friend. Things change, farewell, my friend. Farewell.